Okay, the cards are already pre-shuffled, well shuffled in advance, but we're going to keep going until we actually cut and read. Okay, so you know the drill. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Uh, do your cross-watching for other people, all of that stuff. Reinterpret to suit yourselves, okay? Tarot Illumination is not a fortune teller. We're just reading energy here, okay? And the general theme with Tarot Illumination is all about the healing power of love, okay? So that's a dominant theme, so it might show up in this reading, okay? So this is you, Virgo. This is Tarot Illumination with your general report for December 2017. And no jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, not even any reversals. None of it, sorry. It's enough just to work with the cards as they are, okay? So that's how we're going to do it. Let's see what shows up. Okay, remember we're going through some very testing times at the moment. All the planets are very tightly packed in one, mostly in one quadrant of the heavens right now. So that can put intense pressure. You imagine spinning a ball on a string around your head, or 5 balls and 5 strings, and they're all evenly spaced. Just imagine what happens when all the balls cluster on one side and you still have to keep your act together. It can be a really tough balancing act. So I think we just cut. You know, I just lost it for a second. I'm going to shuffle a little bit again. I want to be sure. I'm being picky for you, Virgo. You might have witnessed that I had already cut, but I don't remember. So I have a little bit of a, blank there. So I'm going to do it again, just to be sure. All right, just to be sure. I like things to be really clear, okay? Like you, Virgo. I like clarity and order, okay? So let's do it. This is the proper cut this time. Jupiter's in Scorpio right now for the next year or so. It's kind of a big deal. And we have a massive cluster coming up here in Sagittarius for everybody. So it's going to come hard on you, Virgo, because it's a tight square. Well, it's probably a loose square, but typically the Sagittarian energy is what would be considered a square in astrology. So let's get on with it. This would be the heart energy, the very core of you, perhaps without even any language or words or understanding. This is legacy energy, history. This could be the last few weeks. This could be the last 12 years. It's legacy. It's baggage. It's the past, okay? This is the now. This is the ever-present now. And as we're moving through this time period that we call December 2017, of course, we're always in the now, but this is the now for now. And here is where you make your decisions. You're always making your decisions in the now, even though a lot of us are frequently focused on the past or the future or anything to avoid the present, because the present is where life happens. And when you abdicate the presence, it's more comfortable and simpler, because then you can dwell on the future and moan about the past or enjoy the past. And then you don't have to deal with the present. But we're going to deal with the present. So when you're present, you're making decisions here, okay? And looking forward into the life for the rest of the journey, okay? In our time-based phenomenon here called life. And this is about making healthy decisions, okay? What is the most loving decision you can make for you when it comes to moving forward, when it comes to making your decisions? Because the most loving thing for you is what's good for everybody else. And this would be like the energy that comes to you as a consequence. If you think that life happens to you and it's out there and then you have to react, then this would feel more like fate, okay? So this is like the what if energy, like what if I mess up on my decisions? What if I score on my decision as it all works out? Cool. And this would be like, well, where does it all go? What do we do with this? And this is, we're going to look at this over here at the moment down here as the weather, circumstantial energy. It's not necessarily yours, Virgo. It's kind of out there, and you read it like the weather. What are we going to do with this weather? You know, make the best of it, of course, like anybody in their right mind would do. So what we're dealing with here is the Queen of Pentacles. So for Virgo, if you're sensing that, well, here's my take on it right now. The Queen of Pentacles, my feeling is that you're getting a strong hint from the heavens, from your angels, from the universe, that you are actually in a kind of a sweet spot, probably more than you know. And that's a little bit awkward because sometimes, like Virgos, you can be incredibly shy, incredibly reserved, because your energies are focused so much, can be focused so much on just getting things to work, getting through life, and doing what has to be done in a way that works. And anything that doesn't work can be very disturbing and upsetting for you, to the point where you're just constantly in this vortex of figuring things out and just doing stuff, and not realizing how absolutely gorgeous and awesome you are, and how talented and how many gifts that you have. And then on top of that, the question is, what do you do with it all? Because you might not have noticed this, Virgo, but a lot of people have tremendous difficulties receiving. And Virgo, you can be very dedicated to service to others, work, health, habits, helping others be happy in their lives. Like health coaches, teachers, a house cleaner, a driver, someone who just takes care of business and gets done what has to be done to make things orderly so that everybody can live their lives. And not a lot of people appreciate that a lot of times. Like Virgos can often go unnoticed and unappreciated, and yet there is such extreme value in the Virgo energy. And then when you do decide to share that Virgo love, which is deeply appreciated by others, for the ones who really understand Virgo, then you have the secondary problems like who is actually ready, willing, and able to receive. So that leaves you questioning your value, your energies, and so on. What am I going to do with all this? And then the stark realization that, wow, I really am all this. And that could be daunting for you, Virgo, because it kind of puts you in a bit of a spotlight, you know? So, like a spiritual awakening of the self, where you have to kind of come into higher spiritual alignment with yourself. Maybe that's to do with your Leo North Node journey, Leo being in your 12th house, okay? So it might be an interesting video to watch. Let's see what's going on at the heart. Okay, let's just say this is not a love reading, okay? This is just general broad energy spread type reading. Journey of the heart kind of goes like this, okay? Can you see that? Can you see the heart shape there? I'm trying my best, okay? And that's you pulsing at the core. And with the Page of Cups here, it's an indication that there's a certain innocence and sweetness here about you, Virgo, that's happening during this particular season, where there might be a lot of pressure. It might be a lot of pressure on you to, let's say, in ways that are, let's just call it uncomfortable, that might put you in a point of awareness where you're realizing that the energy of love is very important to you, and what's missing is very important to you, because there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to understand, and it's very important that, my feeling is that you bring your own, let's say, sweet, innocent love into full alignment, where it isn't just about being a traditional Virgo. It's more about being a Virgo who's actually very aware of how valuable they are and how much they have to offer to the world. And that the way to do that is to love oneself first. And you might just not have ever been trained or raised or conditioned to do that, which leaves you in this kind of like sweet, vulnerable, innocent state, almost like an embryonic state, where everybody can take advantage of you. Like the world's predators, there's nothing more delicious than something sweet and new and young and innocent and naive. It's just like fresh fruit for the picking. And that's what you might be radiating from your pulsing core of your heart, which makes you realize that, well, it's not making you realize, it's time for you. Your heart is saying, I need to learn more about this self-love thing, so that this circumstantial evidence that you're getting reflected back to you starts to actually happen in your life, okay? The good stuff. What do you bring in with you? Now, I believe they showed up in another report in the same position. So you, Virgo, might be going through this strange period right now And I think it might be something to do with the Mercury retrograde coming through December. Mercury being your ruling planet, where all of a sudden, well, not suddenly, but going through this 3 week period in December, the build up to it, living through it, and the build out afterwards for another 3 weeks or so. It's this flux of energy where you might be feeling as though, like, wow, I'm having to watch a movie of my own life, where you're sensing a huge disparity between the, let's say, if you're watching a movie of your life, the role that you are observing as you watch yourself live your life, as opposed to your true authentic self as the observer. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to clarify this card here. This is energy that you're bringing in with you. And you might have brought this. This might have been building up for a long time. And it's about time that we took a pause, live through this period where you can do the rewind, the action replays over and over again if you have to figure out what is out of alignment. Why is there such a disparity between the soul, simple soul energy here and your three-dimensional life over here, which is indicating that you have so much abundance, but you're not really fully in alignment with it. Like there's might be such a disparity that there's a realization there's a lot of self-loving to do here, a long journey ahead. And it really, really helps to know what you're doing wrong. In other words, oh, wow, I was behaving this way and doing this and doing that and doing that. But that wasn't the real me. I did that in order to comply with so and this condition and that circumstance and that event in such a way that was not truly authentically you, which is now exposing your innocence, which is actually a gift, because that's what your heart needs. Your heart is craving to know more about love and self-love. And right now, the opportunity is happening. You're bringing it in right now. You might not actually be sensing it at this very moment of the reading, but as you move through December, you might realize how this legacy energy that you're bringing in is actually playing out, where it's like, oh my gosh, I am watching a movie of my own life, and it is weird. It is very trippy because I thought my life was this, but I'm realizing as an observer, it's this. Whoa. Rewind, replay, and make notes about what, how to improve, what went wrong, how it went wrong, when it went wrong, who it went wrong with, and what are we going to do about it. So this is the energy of now. Like, okay, so what's going on now? Wow. Oh, wow. So Virgo, remember, this is not a relationship reading, but Neptune is in your 7th house of relationships. So if it happens that a lot of these dynamics that we just talked about are happening in the world of the significant relationships in your world, where a lot of our experiences happen anyway. You can be driving a car and you can have the experience of driving, but a lot of our most profound experiences happen in the dynamics with others. And Neptune is there, right in the middle of your 7th house. It's been there for like 7 years. It's probably got another 7 years to go. So things can get very, very, very wooey in terms of relationships, where you think this is happening, where actually this is happening. And it can be very, very beautiful when it's working, and it can be very weird and disturbing when it's not working. And so that might be what's happening right now. These two powerful cards here, it might feel as though things are very fated right now, where you're being swept along in this current of energy, where you don't have a choice except just follow the current and go blind and just admit your sweetness, admit your innocence, and that there's a lot to learn, and that's okay. With the Fool, it's like you don't really have to answer anything or prove anything or explain anything to anybody. You can just say, hey, I'm just Virgo being Virgo. I hope you don't mind. And then, if anybody wants to judge you, fine, just, flip them off. Or if you feel very sensitive about it and you feel like you're judged for just being you, then make a note. Why do you feel self-conscious about it? Why are you all shy about being you? What did you need to learn from that? Okay, so that's kind of beautiful to have this here right now. And this is always happening. There's the past, there's the future, but here's the now. And you're going to make your decisions, okay? So that making the decisions, what are we talking about here? Okay, well, Maybe it's that right now a lot of your decisions are being based on the past and what you've learned from the past, perhaps uh, characters from your past. Like as you do this action rewind, action replay, review, life review kind of thing during the December period, you can have a tremendous awakening about like, oh, the past this, the past that, and this nostalgia trip, like, oh, how I did this with so and so, how I did that with so and so. I love them so much, but they don't love me anymore, and they moved on and they did this and that, and oh, woe is me. But it also could mean allowing that there are certain characters in your life. Uh, there's a lot of people here. There are characters in your life, some of who could be categorized as soulmates or past life relationships and you might sense it in your body and your being, and you're getting a lot of information from there. When you go through the action replays, the action rewinds, as you move through the month, and just allow yourself to float through it and live through it without judging yourself or let anyone judge you. Just live through the experience. And if that energy is very, very present, very, very apparent about who do I love, who loves me, what did I learn from the past, who is coming to me, and to whom am I attracted? And then making decisions accordingly, because this is all based on love, okay? Always the answer is love. Be loving, be loved. Make your decisions from the point of love, as opposed to like, how much money can I get? Or is this a better sweater? Or can I trade up into a better car even if I have to go into debt? Forget all that stuff. This is just broad spirit energy about the healing power of love, how it works in your life. So how do you make effective decisions that are based on the loving thing? What is the most loving way to do? In your sweetness and innocence, what is the most loving decision that you can make at any point in time, allowing for a lot of historical evidence in matters of the heart to act as, let's say, the material that you use, that you source in order to make your decisions, like archaeology, discovering from your archaeological dig on yourself about what do I do now? How do you do that? So, with the Knight of Wands here, it's allowing yourself like the freedom of expression. Like once you've discovered that pulse, there's your heart pulsing. Do, 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 do. What is my heart really, really telling me about the people that I love, the people who've loved me, the people that I've loved over, from past lives, potentially to the future lives? What's going on here? How are we going to do that in the loving way? Because if you're honest, there is a high degree of innocence and a lot to learn and a lot to be gained in love. So you do it in a way that's very, very brave and very courageous. In other words, you allow the passions to flow. Please, please allow the love energy here, the simple, pure love energy, to flow openly and freely in the present moment, and just run with it. Literally run with it. It can be very exciting. It could put you in a position of like the excitement and the thrill of discovering like core formulas, core ingredients about what really works in love and life, as opposed to how you were conditioned, or what the habits are right now, or the roles that you were playing, or the highly established, let's say, culture in which you exist. The conditioning, long-term conditioning, it becomes habits. And a lot of times, Virgo, you are the sign of habits and tasks and chores and things that works. You might be discovering that a lot of habits are dysfunctional and obsolete. And some habits are very, very nutritious and very healing and loving. So tune into the stuff that works. And as soon as you sense it, run with it, jump with it, and go from there fearlessly, and don't look back. Okay. Where does that take us? Okay. To stability. I know there's other ways you can read this card, but what I feel here is that it takes you, Virgo, to a position of stabilization, where by allowing yourself to live through this action, replay, rewind thing, and learn how you, from the past, how you might have messed up, and how you can love yourself in the future passionately, shamelessly. It starts to, let's say, germinate and translate and feel to you like by the time you get out of the end of December, you might start to feel like, wow, I've got this whole new world unfolding in front of me anyway, because Saturn's going to be moving into Capricorn, which is very supportive for you, and it's coming out of Saturn in Sagittarius, which has been very, very challenging for you. So you could feel a new sense of stability and foundations of a new life starting to unfold in front of you, like one brick at a time. When they're building a house, what's the point in building the house on top of shoddy foundations? The Four of Pentacles is all about having really good, solid, locked down foundations and structure that withstands a lot of pressure. Okay, good, solid foundations. And so making these decisions, these loving decisions to love yourself first, based on, like, let's say, true love that you've already known, that you've already tasted somewhere at some time in your life or in past lives. You know what it is, and you're going to act on it. Even if you don't understand it all, you know it in your heart, and trust your heart. And then once you feel it and that pulse goes, yes, go Virgo, go for it, make the decision. And that's how you build it up, brick by brick by time at a time, decision by decision, building stronger and stronger foundations for the new you that's going to start to unfold in 2018. Okay, so what if you mess up on the decisions? What if you score? What if it works out? Well, with the Ten of Swords here, in some ways it's beautiful, because it means it's the end of this. It's just like, wow, it's so simple. If I make very simple, loving decisions to love myself first, um, perhaps extend my love to a soulmate, allow soulmates to extend their love to me, and reorient your life to something that's very simple and that works, as opposed to something that's very perhaps disorienting and out of alignment with the truth, to the point where you might have been living lies for years without even knowing it. It's so easy for that to happen, Virgo, because of the Neptune in the 7th house. So with the Ten of Swords here, please see this as a gift, like, oh my gosh, this is all over. You don't have to live like this. Okay, so if you make loving decisions to love you first, then the Ten of Swords can truly be the end of, like, maybe decades of pain. It doesn't have to be that way. There, can you see the beautiful new blue waters and the new sunrise in the distance? Okay. And of course, if you do mess up on the decisions and you start just simply living your life as a movie where you're just acting out a role and you're living in an evolutionary, like, stagnant pond, then all that happens is you stay stuck in this. You end up continuously being the pincushion for everybody else. And Virgos, you can be really good at that. Okay, you can be very good at just letting people walk all over you, because a lot of times they do not value you and your presence. Okay, so it's time for you to love you first, value yourself, brick by brick, build up a new foundation so that you don't have to do this again. This is over and new stuff is happening. Let's have a look. What are we coming out with? Okay, that's good. This is very wholesome because it's really supportive for the long term. It can indicate, like, as you come out of December, you realize, oh, it is just a work in progress. And it's just the beginning. You're planting seeds here, brick by brick, and new foundations in life where it's love you first, allow for true love to happen, something really true and loving and genuine and honest, as opposed to role playing, and nurture that, build it up, grow it like a farmer, nurture it like a plant, like a beautiful, beautiful plant. The pruning when it needs pruning, water when it needs water, uh, fertilizer when it needs fertilizer, sun when it needs sun, all of that, as you as the custodian and the guardian of your life. Okay, in very, very simple manners, like a gardener or a farmer or a caretaker, animal husbandry, plant husbandry, nurture. Okay, it's all doable, and that's how you get back to this. Okay, so it's like a circle of love. Okay, and loving you first. Okay, and getting excited about it. All right, so I'll stop talking now, and you can reinterpret however you want. Okay, thank you so much, Virgo. Have a blessed season. All right, bye.